If you bought a condo in Toronto about a decade ago, you're probably sitting there thinking you're in great shape. You bought at $400,000. The market ran up. At one point, your unit was worth over $750,000. You had over $340,000 in equity. That felt good. But here's the part you might not have looked at recently. That equity has been shrinking. Your condo's not worth $750,000 anymore. The average condo in Toronto right now is worth about $650,000. So your equity went from $350,000 down to about $220,000. That is $120,000 in equity that disappeared while you waited. And here's what nobody is telling you. While your condo has been losing value, detached houses in the GTA has not dropped nearly as much. The gap between what your condo is worth and what your house costs is getting wider every single month. If you were thinking about making the move up, waiting has already cost you $120,000, and the window is not getting bigger. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how bad it has gotten. Real sales numbers, why developers have completely stopped building. At the very end, the one number every condo owner in Toronto is asking about right now. Let us start with how many condos are actually selling. In April 2026, there were 1,553 condo sales across the GTA. That's up 8.6% compared to April of last year. Now that sounds like good news. More sales, more activity. Things are improving, right? Here's the part that changes the picture. 1,500 sales in a month across the GTA is still well below the 10-year average. We're not even close to normal volume. And here's where it gets interesting. Within the city of Toronto itself, 1,000 of those sales happened here. That is 68% of all GTA condos concentrated in one city. The rest of the GTA, I'm talking about Mississauga, Brampton, Markham, Vaughan, they're barely moving condos at all. So if you own a condo in the 905, your pool of buyers is a lot thinner than someone selling in downtown Toronto. That matters when you are trying to price your unit. If you're a condo owner in the 905 thinking about selling, you need to be pricing aggressively from day one. You do not have the luxury of testing the market at a high price and waiting. There are not enough buyers out there to support that strategy right now. Now, this is the section that's going to surprise you because the sales numbers, honestly, they're not the story. The inventory is the story. According to Urban Nation, there are about 4,000 completed and unsold new condos sitting in the GTA. That's a record. It has never been this high. Let me put that into context. 2 years ago, that number was about 860 units. 1 year ago, it was roughly 2,100. Today, almost 4,300 units. That's 5 times higher than 2 years ago. And here's a number that should make you stop and think. Based on how slowly these units are selling, there is 92 months of completed new condo supply on the market. 92 months. That is almost 8 years of inventory at the current pace. I want you to sit with that for a second. 8 years. If no new condos were built starting tomorrow, it'll still take 8 years to sell the ones that are already finished and sitting empty right now. And that number does not even count the 8,000 unsold units that are still unsold construction and arriving in the next couple of years. When those complete, the numbers get worse. For the first time in at least 30 years, there is zero new condo project launched in Q1 of 2026. Zero. Not a slow quarter, not a pullback, nothing launched. Meanwhile, since the start of 2024, over 11,000 condo units have been canceled. About 4,000 of those got converted into purpose-built rentals. The rest just disappeared from the pipeline. But now here's the silver lining. And I do think this matters for anyone watching this 5 years from now. If nobody is building new condos today and completions are dropping from almost 30,000 a year down to 13,000 by 2028, at some point, the supply dries up. And that's how a cycle works. But that is a future problem. Right now, the issue is too much inventory, not too little. If you're a buyer looking at new construction right now, this is leverage you have never had before. Developers are cutting prices. Asking prices for standing inventory dropped to about $1,200 per square foot, down 13% from 3 years ago. And with the new HST rebate, that drops roughly another $100,000 on average. You should be negotiating hard. If you're a seller competing against that developer inventory, you need to understand something. Resale condos and comparable buildings are selling at $860 per square foot. That is a 25% drop from 2020 peak. And you're now competing against developers who are willing to drop prices to move units. If you're a condo investor watching this section is for you. The vacancy rate for rental buildings completed since the year 2000 hit 5.4% in Q1 of 2026. 1 year ago, it was 3.6%. And the availability rate, which includes units where tenants have given notice, is now at 8%. That's a record. What does that mean in dollar terms? Rents were falling. Net rents in Q1 averaged at about $3.52 per square foot. That's down almost 4% from year over year. And here's the part that hurts. Landlords are now offering an average of 13% off listed rents as incentives to fill the units. That's about $400 a month in discount just to get a tenant in the door. So let me walk you through what this means if you're an investor carrying a condo. Let's say you bought a one bedroom for $650,000 in 2022. Your mortgage payment at today's rates, let's say it's about $3,200 a month. Condo fees, about $500, property tax, another $250, insurance, another $50. That is $4,000 a month in carrying costs. Your rent after incentives might be about $2,200 a month. You're a negative $1,800 every single month. That is about $22,000 a year out of your pocket on a unit that has also lost $100,000 in value. If you find this useful, subscribe. Helps me keep on making videos just like this. I'm just shy of 700 subs right now. I need about 20 more. If you subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Let's talk about where condos are actually selling, what buyers are paying. The most active condo neighborhood in Toronto right now is downtown, the core. I'm talking about Liberty Village, Entertainment District, City Place. That corridor has about 245 sales in April at an average about 680,000. If you're looking for a value, look east. Toronto East recorded 127 condo sales at an average about 511,000. Toronto West, 208 sales at about 570,000. Both lower than the city average. Also, you want to stretch your dollar? Scarborough's East End still has options under $500,000. Talk about Malvern and Rouge. Those average about 426,000. Morningside and Bendale, 449,000. These are real numbers from TRREB. Condos in the GTA are sitting on market for a median of 34 days. A year ago, 29. So sellers are waiting longer and buyers have more time to negotiate. If you're a condo owner thinking about selling your unit and moving up to a house, here's what the data tells you. Yes, your condo has lost value from the peak, but houses have held up better. The gap between condo prices and house prices is actually wider now than it was a year ago. So the longer you wait, the harder the move up gets. The math does not get easier from here. Now let me show you how we got here, because this didn't happen overnight. In 2016, the average condo in the GTA sold for $416,000. Then came the run up. By 2022, that number has almost doubled to $760,000. That was the peak. Then the correction started. 2023, we dropped to 717,000. 2024, 700,000. 2025, 660,000. Each year lower than the last. 4 straight years of decline. That is the decline of 12% from 2022's annual average. And on a monthly basis, the drop is even steeper. The February 2022 monthly average was close to 800,000. April 2026 came in at 635,000. That is a drop of over 20%. But now here's what is important to understand. This is not 2008. This is not a crash where everything falls at once and bounces back in 18 months. This is a slow, grinding correction driven by oversupply and investor retreat. And according to TD, stabilization is on the horizon, but it's going to take some time. The language was a long correction. If you bought a condo in 2022, you're underwater. That's reality. The question is not whether you lost money on paper. You did. That's a given. The question is, what do you do about it? Do you hold and wait for the market to recover, knowing completions are dropping and eventually supply will tighten? Or do you sell now, take the loss, and redeploy that equity into a property type that's holding value better? That's a conversation you need to have with someone who knows your specific numbers. All right, I saved this for last because I think it's important to understand everything we just covered before you see this number. We talked about sales volume being up, but still below normal. We talked about almost 4,300 unsold new condos sitting on the market. 0 new launches for the first time in 30 years. A vacancy rate at a record high. Rents falling. Investors bleeding cash every month. With all that context, here's the number. GTA condo average price in 2026 of April, $635,000. The average selling price of a condo in the GTA in April 2026 was $635,000. That is down 6% compared to a year ago. In the city of Toronto specifically, the average was $665,000, so a little bit better. Now here's the thing about that number. $635,000 is actually up 2.4% from March. So month over month, there's a small bump. So depending on who you listen to, someone will tell you the market is recovering. Someone else is going to tell you the market is falling. The data says both are true at the same time. Prices are higher than last month, so that's good. Prices are lower than last year, and prices are 20% lower than the peak of 2022. Here's what I would take away from all of this. If you're a buyer, this is the most negotiating power you had in many, many years. Inventory is at a record. Sellers and developers are both competing for your offer. Use that. If you're a seller, price to the market, not to what you think your unit should be worth. The comps do not care about what you paid. And the longer you sit in the market, the more negotiating power shifts to the buyer. If you're a condo owner thinking about moving up to a house, run the numbers now, because houses are not falling at the same rate as condos. That gap is getting wider, and every month you wait, it makes your move that much harder. Thanks again for watching. See you soon.